Hey everybody, my name is Jesse Collins, and I want to tell you all about my show, the Gentleman's Wrestling Podcast, here on the Voices of Wrestling Podcast Network. On the Gentleman's Wrestling Podcast, we do a thorough analysis on the biggest issues and trends within the pro wrestling industry. We talk a lot about pro wrestling media, we talk a lot about fan culture and wrestling's place within general pop culture, and we talk about the broader influences that are shaping the way we discuss and analyze the pro wrestling industry. We've had some of the brightest minds in the pro wrestling intelligentsia on the show, including WrestleNomics host Brandon Thurston, both Rich Craich and Joe Lanza from the Flagship Wrestling Podcast, Trevor Dame from the Through the Years podcast, and a whole lot more. This isn't a show for hot takes. It's not a show recapping the latest episode of television. This is a show focusing on the biggest topics in pro wrestling and doing a deep dive on the real stories behind the surface level analysis you might find elsewhere. The Gentleman's Wrestling Podcast is available wherever you get your podcasts, and we'd really appreciate it if you gave us a try. Thanks.
This podcast is a member of the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. Visit voicesofwrestling.com to hear the rest of our great podcasts, as well as show reviews, columns, opinions, and updates across the world of wrestling.
Here we go! Baby, kiss me like a love star. 소란 너무 가오리. Whoa, 君へ片思い。涙の失恋も。Skippy-doo, give me five, give me double chatter side.
You're listening to the Emerald Flow Show on the Voices of Wrestling Podcast Network.
Welcome to episode 61 of the Emerald Flow Show. We're a podcast on the Voices of Wrestling Podcast Network. You can follow us on X at Emerald Flow Show and listen to us on all of your favorite podcasting apps. If you're on Apple Podcasts, leave us a 5-star review. You can go to voicesofwrestling.com/donate to donate to the show if you're feeling generous. I'm Gerard here with Paul. And Paul, I have never had more anticipation to record an episode in this life.
Yeah, a lot happened in just a week, so we decided to just real quick come back because otherwise the next episode would have been like 6 hours long.
Yeah, and there would probably have been more things even happening if we had left it.
Yeah, that too.
So, I think, you're busy this week. I'm a little busy too. So we just had to get this out of the way. And yes, we're going to dive right into it. All Japan Pro Wrestling Dream Power Series on March 30th at Otis Ward City Gym in front of 2,057 fans, which I got to say, I was hoping for at least 2,000 and they did it.
Yeah. I mean, they kind of reached like what I wanted them to get to. So that's good. I mean, we won't really have a number to compare this to for a while because now this building is going to be closed for 3 years.
Oh, is it that long? Oh, wow. Okay.
It was a while. It was definitely a weirdly long time.
I thought
don't
it was
know
like
if it was
a year or
3 years.
something. Okay.
I don't remember, but it's definitely closed for like a while. So.
That hurts All Japan because a lot of the other venues in the area, like in Yokohama, are bigger than Oda Ward.
Yeah.
So it's going to force them to maybe run bigger buildings for bigger shows. Like they are with the Buntai in the Champion Carnival. So we'll see how that is heading. Paul, I have to admit, I watched this show live and I didn't realize that the actress match was starting 20 minutes before the actual show started. So I didn't see it. and I haven't had time to go back and watch it.
It was fine.
Okay.
It was, and also the fact that it was definitely noticeable that it started 20 hours, 20 minutes before the show, because it was very empty. Like people were still filing in, and they were like basically doing their dances in front of like, I'm gonna say it wasn't even like half the crowd was there yet, and the match was fine.
Okay. Yeah, they have gotten better in terms of what they presented, because those shows in January did really not help their first impression.
No, they didn't really like come out strong. I think they didn't put their best foot forward there, but they have gotten better since then.
So we started off the first official match of the show with the junior special 6-man tag match. Kaz Hayashi, Seki Yoshioka, and Fuminori Abe defeated Naruki Doi, Sego Tachibana, and Ryo Inoue in 9 minutes and 30 seconds when Hayashi used the final cut on Inoue. This was a solid junior opener, good action. And honestly, I thought this was like Kaz Hayashi's farewell match in All Japan before his retirement, but we'll get to that a little later.
Mm-hmm. Also, in this match, the new head of the dojo as well.
Oh, yes. It was announced that Inoue is now basically, I would say, I'm not sure. I guess he's the head of the dojo, or is he really like the main day-to-day drill sergeant, basically?
I mean, he went like, did you watch the whole like video that they did from the
I did
tryouts,
not.
right?
Yes,
You didn't.
Oh, the trial videos. Yes, I did.
Yeah. I mean, Inoue was already doing a lot of stuff in there. Like it was him and Yuma, and I guess maybe now he's like taking over like whatever Yuma was doing as well.
Yeah, that makes sense. So that's a good sign, and we've got those two guys that they took in, whose names I can't even remember at this point. But I guess they'll probably be debuting probably this summer or in the fall.
Yeah, and they might have another, or not might, but they are having another person joining them as well. But more on that later.
Yes. Second match of the show, Takawa Mori and Kuma Arashi defeated Kono and Toshizo in 9 minutes and 25 seconds with the Axe Bomber from Omori on Toshizo. Paul, I got to admit, I like this match more than I thought I would. It was fun, you know.
Yeah, no, it was fine. Don't think it was anything special, but I mean, I actually even liked some of the interference stuff, like because I feel like Kuma Arashi actually kind of wasn't quite prepared to get hit by the powder, because he was very audibly coughing. So I think he just kind of got like hit right in the throat with it.
Yeah. So, but it was like, but like, yes, there was the powder spot and Taru was all around the place, but it actually didn't get ridiculous with like refs getting pulled out or anything like that. And the baby faces won. And then next up was the Road to the Champion Carnival 8-man Battle Royale. With Keno Miyahara, Ren Ayabe, Kuroshio Tokyo Japan, Shotaro Shino, Hartley Jackson, Hokuto Omori, Yuma Aoyagi, Ryoki Honda. So, I mean, this was okay. So they time these things so weird, because when people make their entrances, the clock is ticking. So basically, when Kento enters, basically someone's ready to enter as soon as by the time he gets into the ring.
To be fair, I like that as a bit. They did that as well during the Fuji anniversary show as well, where Kento, like I think they actually have a timer where they do need to be in the ring before the next guy comes out. Because on the Fuji show, at least, they did the bit where Kento basically was still like putzing around outside while they were already doing the countdown for the next person to come in, and then he basically rolled in like at the last second. And he kind of got close here as well, because I think he like rolled into the ring with like 10 seconds left on the countdown or something.
Yeah, it was only like 1 minute intervals. So I mean, standard Japanese battle royal, but then it came down to Ren Ayabe and Kento, and then Ren and Kento had a decent little back and forth, and then obviously Ren got eliminated by a shutdown German suplex, not thrown over the top. But then, and because obviously, we talked about this, there was something brewing between Kento and Ren. And Ren got on the mic and said he wanted to join All Japan. And then Kento got him one of those tracksuit jackets, and Ren put on the jacket, the ill-fitting jacket. And he's joined All Japan, and he's now a contracted wrestler, which is interesting.
Yeah.
But we'll talk about this more later, and maybe some of the drama that started early this year is coming to a close.
Yeah. One thing though that this match made me realize is, or the aftermath rather, is how much of a nightmare it has to be for Ren Ayabe to go clothes shopping in Japan,
Yeah.
because like that can't, like, because he isn't just like tall by like Japan standards, he's like tall by like Western standards as
Oh yeah,
well.
he'd have to go to like a special like Big and Tall store here in North
Yeah, and
America or
I
in Europe.
don't know if those exist in Japan even.
Do Big and Tall stores even exist in Europe?
No, I know that they're like a thing in America, but I've never
Yeah.
seen one here.
Yeah, no, they have them in Canada too. But I always thought that was a more of a North American thing.
Yes.
Um, so then we have for the All Asia Tag Team title, and it was well, I thought it was going to be a current blast death match, but it was just an electric death match because they didn't even go to all the trouble to setting up like they do for those other ones. Sort of like, let's just get this over with.
Yeah.
They still had the bat, but they didn't do all the barbed wire stuff. Hikaru Sato and Dan Tamura defeated Atsushi Onita and Toy in 10 minutes and 32 seconds with the sandwich electric blasting bat from Sato and Dan on Toy. The champions fall on their first defense, and now Tamura and Dan win the title, or sorry, Sato and Dan win the titles for the second time, and they're the 123rd All Asia Tag Team Champions. I mean, this wasn't good, but it wasn't as bad as some of the other Onita matches.
Yeah, it was still not great though. And I just realized that I'm just really over the bad stuff as well.
Oh yeah.
Like, it's
And
just...
of course, Hikaru Sato and Dan Tamura came out looking like they were in Reservoir Dogs.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Like, what the fuck was up with that look?
I don't know. It was just a gimmicky thing. But I mean, does it really matter? No.
No, I mean, it's whatever. I just realized that I was just like been doing this since like 2016 on and off in All Japan with the like current, like bringing in Onita and having him like do his matches, right? Because like I looked at it and like I think the first time they did it was like at the like Sumo Hall show in 2016 where
Right.
Kento beat Suwama.
Mhm.
And they were doing it there already. So I just hope that this is finally just over now and he can just go away.
Yep. I have a feeling that Dan and Sato will have a much longer run with the All Asia Tag Titles this time.
Yeah, hopefully. But then again, it's also the All Asia Tag Title, so they might also
Yeah.
just lose it on the next defense.
That's true. Then next up for the PWF World Junior Heavyweight Championship, Rising Hayato defeated Musashi in 14 minutes and 55 seconds with the Sid Vicious to make his first defense. I see a lot of opinions all over the place on this match. I liked it. I did not love it. It was pretty good, not great. There was some shakiness. They looked like they were on different pages at times, a little sloppiness. But I think there was like a good match in there still at the end.
I actually fully agree on that. It was pretty much going to be my take. I was going to be interested to see like what your take was going to be. But yeah, we're in full agreement here. I did like the finishing sequence. I thought that was pretty good.
Yes. I mean, Musashi managed to get a lot of pops and crowd heat going in that finishing sequence with those near
Yeah.
falls.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, oof, that second Sid Vicious.
And those
Jesus
pile
Christ.
drivers.
Yeah, oh sorry, the pile driver. Yeah, sorry, the pile driver. I meant.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, well, like that second pile driver in the finishing sequence before the Sid Vicious, sorry. Like,
Yeah, that's...
oof. that would
mean-
look real rough. He dropped them
I
right
mean,
on the top of his head there.
Those like inverted pile drivers always look sketchy. Like whenever Dan takes one.
Yeah, I mean, Dan is just like, yeah, I'm just gonna pretend I broke my neck.
Yeah. So that's, but you know, Hayato's reign continues, and he called out Kaz Hayashi to be the next challenger. I could see that happening on the Carnival Final show or something like that, or on one of the weekends during the Champion Carnival.
Yeah, you'd fill that up, and I think that's a nicer goodbye to Kaz than just having him in a random 6-man.
For sure. And then for the World Tag Team titles, Jun Saito and Rei Saito defeated Suwama and Hideki Suzuki in 17 minutes and 18 seconds with the Psycho Break from Jun on Suwama. Also note that Jun is facing Suwama on the final night of the Carnival. So the champions fail in their second defense, and the Saitos are now two-time champions and the 99th World Tag Team champions in all Japan. I mean, it was what it was. I mean, it wasn't great, but I didn't think it was like horrible either. I thought it got
Mhm.
pretty decent towards the end, and of course there was Taru shenanigans. All the
Yeah.
members of Voodoo Murders came out with them in this match and everything like that.
Yeah. I mean, the match itself, yeah, it was just kind of there, but I also didn't really expect much since, the Suwama Hideki team it hasn't worked. Like, let's be real.
Yeah,
Like, it just hasn't really worked. I think on paper it looks like a team that could be good, but there's just something missing from it. There's just no spark. And I would actually say that the Saitos carried this match.
in some ways they did. And then, of course, after the match, Paul, we were kind of right. The Voodoo Murders did disband,
Yeah,
but not
they're
quite the way
gone.
we were expecting.
The evil is defeated by winning the titles? Question mark.
Yeah, but it was more like Taru just coming out and saying, "Okay, we don't need to do this anymore." And basically, Suwama came out and reconciled with the Saitos and everything like that. So it didn't quite end as we thought it would, though.
Also, shoot trash unmasking Ryuji Hijikata like that.
Yes, Ryuji Hijikata, or Toshiza took his mask off to reveal Ryuji Hijikata, who rested on the last All Japan show before this one.
I did love that there were genuinely people in the crowd that were like, "Oh my god!" Like, come on, man.
Yes, that is so funny. And then we go to the main event. What by this point I was like, how long is this main event going to go? Because this was moving pretty briskly for a Oda Ward gym show. 'Cause some of those go like 4 hours.
Yeah, this was a really fast show. I was surprised. Like, I looked at the file as well and was like, "That's not that long."
Yeah. So in the main event for the Triple Crown, Yuma Anzai defeats Katsuhiko Nakajima in 20 minutes and 16 seconds with a German suplex. Nakajima fails on his fifth defense, and Yuma Anzai is the 72nd Triple Crown champion. Well, we'll talk about the match first. I actually did quite like this match. I thought Nakajima was great here, just dominating Anzai and going after the arm with the kicks. I thought Anzai's selling was top notch here. Now, I guess what's going to be controversial is the finish, because it was basically like Nakajima went for the vertical spike, and then, Anzai floated over and escaped, hit the jumping knee, and then a German suplex to win the match. And, Nakajima sort of gets up right afterwards and has that smirk on his face as he's walking down the aisle. Paul, what did you think of the finish?
I didn't like the finish. I thought, actually, until then, I thought there was a bunch of stuff they did that actually put over Anzai well, like him surviving in the arm submission and everything. And then the finish, like, it was so fast. Like, there was no, like, it's hard to even call it a comeback, because it's literally 2 moves and he wins.
Well, I mean, that's what they were going for, no question. I mean, I think it really was, as ridiculous or pretentious as it sounds, this was supposed to evoke like Jumbo versus Misawa, because, Misawa gets the flash pin after, escaping from a suplex attempt from Jumbo, right? So it was supposed to be like oh, wow, like, who saw this coming type thing, right? And, that's obviously, going to be debatable. What about Nakajima smirking on the way out? I think it's a little different than what happened with Muto after Kaido finally beat him, though.
Yeah, I was more reminded of like Austin Aries actually. But yeah, I don't know. It like that whole like put an even more like weird spin on it. I mean, we'll see if like I think it very highly depends on whether or not Nakajima is done.
Yeah.
If Nakajima is just done after this, then I think it was kind of shitty of him to like walk out of the ring smirking.
Okay, so next question. Is Nakajima done?
I genuinely cannot make a statement on that right now until after WrestleMania week, basically.
Well, I mean, so both in Nikon Sports and Tokyo Sports say he's done, but again, I mean, that's whatever those are, right?
Yes. I mean, the thing is, because there is an NXT show on there.
Mm-hmm.
So if he if he's leaving, the only location I can see him popping up is on that show.
Yeah.
And otherwise, I don't think he's done.
Is he going to? What about New Japan?
I could see that happening, but where do you put him right now in New Japan? Like, it's kind of a weird spot to debut someone as well.
In Shingo Gun.
I guess if that is like a thing that is actually happening.
Mm-hmm. Well, my philosophy on this is he's not done until he shows up somewhere else.
Yes. Oh, no, absolutely. Yeah. Until he shows up somewhere else, I would still because there's still too many things that are open for him in All Japan.
Yeah.
For him to be fully done, right? Because Kento didn't get his win back, Yuma didn't get his win back, although I feel like Yuma might not, and that's fine too, but still.
I mean, if he is done, this is like he pulled the wool over their eyes.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, there is also still the weirdness of his apparent involvement still with Simon and Oki, right? Because that's also what the reports are still saying, that he is still very much tied up with Simon. And Simon seems to be the guy pushing him to go to the US.
Yeah, for sure.
And again, we were talking as well, right? That it seems like some weirdness that was there earlier in the year has been getting smoothed over. Ren, getting signed, and Suwama still openly interacting, for example, with Evolution, or them clearing up that Suwama does still work with Evolution.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, if the whole thing of Nakajima, basically Simon being Nakajima's agent or whatever, are true, and Simon was the guy behind kind of all of the All Japan relationships falling apart and a bunch of people leaving. I mean, I guess you can make a timeline where basically All Japan or Fukuda kind of realizing that he shouldn't be working with Simon once they almost got sued by the Inoki family.
Yes.
And then that whole thing leading to them being okay, we don't want to, let's pull the trigger on Anzai, basically, and get the title off of Nakajima at some point, because they kind of had some, because they probably already had some defenses lined up, like Ashino and Rei Saito. And then they were well, okay, what is the next defense that we can do to get it off of him? And then they were okay, let's just pull the trigger on Anzai, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe that was planned for later in the year and not here, and that's why the whole thing kind of feels weird.
Although looking back, the Anzai on the Fuchi show seems more prophetic even now.
Yes. Oh yeah, no, I mean, they put him over massively there.
So it's I cannot rule out that they had this plan in January.
I mean, might also be, but again, the one thing that I will still say it is weird is that, or that might indicate that Nakajima is actually done, is the fact that he is not in the carnival.
Yes.
Because remember, we had the whole discussion about, it makes sense to keep Nakajima out of the carnival because he's never lost in a singles match. Whereas once it wasn't sure, who was going to be the other guy coming into the carnival if they add Rei Saito, my argument was well, they can put a Nakajima in there if he loses to Anzai, because then it's no longer a problem for him to lose singles matches.
Mm-hmm.
But now he's not, now he lost to Anzai and also isn't in the carnival at the same time.
Although I think with this story, it also makes sense if he were to disappear for a couple of months and come back in June or July. If he's coming back.
True. Because at that point you can already because you probably don't want this Anzai reign to be very long, right? Probably
Well,
want to keep this relatively short.
we'll get to that in a second, but I will just say if Nakajima comes back in 2-3 months with another crazy gimmick, I think that could work too.
I mean, what I'm thinking is basically Anzai like gets like one title defense, then loses the title to Kento, and then you can do Kento versus Nakajima, and Kento finally gets his win back.
Okay, so let's go to that. I think maybe we might actually have slightly different opinions on what to do. So Yuma Anzai, at 24 years and 10 months, is the youngest Triple Crown champion in All Japan's history. That's surpassing Kento Miyahara's previous. He was the previous youngest Triple Crown champion. So it's a historic moment. Paul, what do you think they got to do with the reign? You got to give him 2 or 3 defenses, in my opinion, especially given the way he won it.
Yes, I mean, if I say short, I think 2 defenses I would give him. Like you can make that like a pretty like you can probably like have him defend against like whoever wins the carnival, and then
Yeah, I think that has to happen.
And then like another like relatively like an older name, like you probably want to
Suwama.
like a Suwama. Yes, exactly. That's who I'm like aiming for. Is like Suwama or Shuji Ishikawa if he was still there, or maybe he's willing to come back. Who knows? You know, like those kind of, that's the kind of guy I would have him beat as well. And then he loses it to like Yuma Aoyagi or Kento. It's like whoever, like basically like that's who I would have him lose the title to, so he can like have someone to overcome.
Well, Paul, what do you think of the idea of Kento winning the carnival, losing to Anzai, but then they said that Aoyagi is the roadblock that he can't overcome instead of Kento?
Yep. I actually like that one as well, because again, he has already beaten Kento. He has never beaten Aoyagi. So I think that would be a very interesting story, because Yuma is also the younger one, right? And Yuma is in that weird spot.
Yeah.
Where like Kento is obviously the ace right now still, but Yuma Anzai is very obviously the next ace.
Yeah.
But Yuma Aoyagi is also still only like 27th. So like he's in that, like basically he's in that spot that Naito was in. Where like, well, here's Tanahashi, who's the ace, and here's Okada, who's the next ace, and what is my role now? So, and I think that's like similar to Yuma Aoyagi, and making him that roadblock that Yuma Anzai needs to overcome. I think it's like the best spot you can put him in.
I think that's the best use of Aoyagi at this point. Otherwise, he will get lost in the shuffle.
Yeah. No, I do think he needs to like win the Triple Crown back at some point this year.
So yeah, I mean, that's my opinion on where this reign has to go.
I mean, obviously, and I mean the other thing is, like I said, like you can do Kento versus Nakajima for the title in the summer, but Kento versus Nakajima also doesn't necessarily need the title either.
No.
Like you can just do that as a singles match. Like we know that draws.
Yes. Yeah, for sure. What do you think happens with the Champion Carnival now? Because this has totally flipped.
Yes, it's basically open now. It's basically almost anyone could win now. Because before it was like, well, it's Kento. Whereas now it's like now it's Kento and a bunch of terrible choices. In like once we thought the plan was for Kento to beat Nakajima.
I mean, Suwama.
Suwama now is a reasonable choice, yeah.
Well, yeah, I was skeptical of the people that said him before, even though they pointed to all of the back and forth with Nakajima. But I think it's actually now more realistic.
I think Hideki has absolutely a very realistic chance of winning now.
Yeah, and it also makes sense because Hideki would then be able to trade wins with Anzai.
Yeah, exactly. So he can
on the final night and then
lose to him in a title match.
Yeah. Who would Hideki beat in the finals?
I mean, that's almost like, I mean, they were setting up some stuff with Honda and Yuma. He could beat Honda, who is Anzai's tag partners, to add some more heat to that.
Yeah. But think about the building you're putting this in.
Oh, you want to put that's true. Actually, putting Hideki versus Ryuki Honda in the Yokohama Buntai is probably not the best idea.
So you're back to Kento or Yuma Aoyagi.
Basically, yeah.
I mean,
whereas if you do Suwama, then you can kind of put anyone in there, really, on the other end.
I don't know about that, but we'll see. So
But
that
it
is that.
basically, but yeah, it just blows the whole thing wide open because now it's like, yeah, I mean, now there is a possibility where like Kento or but it could actually like I think it's still probably Kento or Yuma Aoyagi that goes to like the final from their block,
Yeah.
but there is a chance now that it is actually neither of them.
Oh, for sure.
It could be Ren Ayabe.
I still think Ren's got a chance to be Kento on the first night, though.
Yeah. Oh yeah, especially now with him going into the dojo as well.
Yeah. So, I think overall this was an okay show, but actually, I don't think it was like great or anything.
No, there was nothing blow away. Like it was really kind of lacking that like banger match.
Yeah. And I mean, I see opinions all over the place for the main event, although I did really like it.
I mean, I did like what they were doing there. I felt like if they had given it like an actual, and I get what they were going for, but it did hurt the match quality, right? Like I did get what they were trying to do here. I just think it hurt the match because if
Sure.
they had given it an actual finishing sequence, I probably would have been like, yeah, this was a great match. But because that just wasn't there, it felt lacking.
Yeah, they were really they really wanted to go for the shock factor there.
Yeah.
I saw, well, I mean, there were women in the crowd crying.
Mm-hmm.
I read something that there were boos, but I didn't really detect that watching it.
No, I didn't see that either. And
But
if it was
said that in Tokyo Sports.
yeah, and if it was probably like dedicated like Nakajima fans because those were there like for like for example the Yoyogi show as well. So like those exist. So I feel like they probably would have been the ones to do that.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, I mean the other one as well was like the cover that they did with like all the young guys, which
I was gonna say, this week's Weekly Pro Wrestling in Japan. The cover is Yuma Anzai, the Saito brothers, Rising Hayato, and Dan with the All Asia Tag title, which is why I think that they're gonna get a long reign with those titles.
yeah.
So they're really pushing this new generation.
Yeah, it's unfortunate because I just had like friends return from Japan like a couple of days ago. So if they had actually been there a couple of days longer, I could have told them, "Can you bring me that?"
Yeah, I would love to get a copy of that actually. So they're going really hard with that. It is sort of crazy to think about. Go back even just a couple of years and where we are now, and that coverage sort of just, I think, distilled it for me.
Oh, for sure. Because, like I said, I actually looked at the Sumo Hall show from 2016.
Yeah,
at the card from that.
Yeah, even further back.
Yeah, even further back. But I feel like because that was like the actual start of the Kento era.
Yeah,
right. Because you had the match with Zeus where he won the title, but that was like born out of necessity because Suwama got injured. So like to me, like the actual start of the like Kento Miyahara era was that Sumo Hall show, and like it's interesting how similar things still are and how different they are at the same time.
Yeah. Well, I would say on that, I would not shock me if the average age on that Sumo Hall show was 45 or something.
Oh yeah, for sure. But it's also like, I mean, in terms of like things staying the same, like you also had Sato in an All Asia tag. You also had Onita and Sato in an All Asia tag title match on that show.
Of course.
And you had Jiro winning a Digiora title, which that might be another thing that might happen again this year.
Yeah, actually, it very well may. That's funny.
And even more interesting because he won it from Yohei Nakajima, which again might have been the plan originally as well until he left.
Yeah, so that's funny. Okay, so last night we got the card for the New Age Chronicle 4 on April 11th at Shinkiba First Ring singles match: Red Ayabe versus Ryo Inoue. A 2-on-1 handicap match: Hideki Shrek Sakine versus Imabari Tao Mascaris and Nabe Yakan.
Mm-hmm.
6-man tag match: Shotaro Ashino, Hokuto Omori, and Kuma Arashi versus Ryuki Honda, Dan Tammer, and Fuminori Abe. I hope this is more Kuma.
Oh yeah, it's just book him more. Just that's like my next target for like guy that should get signed by All Japan.
Yeah.
Now that Ayabe is signed.
And then Jun Saito and Rei Saito versus Yuma Aoyagi and Seigo Tachibana.
That's gonna be comedy basically because it's gonna be Yuma doing comedy with Seigo.
Yes. And this isn't the official match order, but I'm assuming this is now the main event. You've got Triple Crown champion Yuma Anzai versus the PWF Junior Heavyweight champion Rising Hayato.
Yeah, that's gonna rock. I think
This show is
really
almost
cool.
This show is almost sold out. I should add too.
I mean, yeah,
Just look at it. And it will buy that.
Also because it is in Shinkiba, right? Everybody's shooting on Nakajima, where Yuma was like, "Oh, if Nakajima or Yuma Aoyagi being like, if Nakajima had been champion longer, we would have only been able to run Triple Crown matches."
Yes, I saw that
in Shinkiba.
I mean, it's funny, but it's not true, and I never.
No, it's so weird that they were like shitting on like Nakajima's drawing ability when he drew some of the best houses and like.
This is the biggest evidence that this is the first time that you can really say that Nakajima is a draw.
Yeah.
And obviously, like he got dealt raw hands because of the situations he found himself in previously,
It almost feels like they wrote out the like details of the story and then he just ended up drawing really well, so it didn't work, but they refused to change course.
Yeah, for sure. So that is All Japan. What do you think? How do you feel about things now?
I'm feeling positive. I actually like all of the champions.
I do feel positive. But I think you don't want to mess this up though at the same time.
It is very risky what they're doing right now, yes.
Oh, it is, yes. So that's why I'm like, this guy's got to hold the title for a few months.
Yeah. Because you can fuck up Anzai. If you fuck up Anzai, you're kind of screwed.
Oh, yeah.
But that's the other thing as well. Like, yeah, you want him to have a credible reign, but also you don't want it to go like you don't want it to be like Kaito's first reign.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. It got too long. Now, but Kento had a long first reign.
Yeah, but that was different because that was literally like, okay, what
else could you do?
We're dead otherwise, yeah.
Yes. Yeah, there was no one else. This is a little different. You have Yuma Aoyagi. You've got. I should say, I think Ashino, he is definitely not a winner out of all of this.
No. But again, it's not very surprising. No. Actually, a good. Okay, because we had the first Yuma reign, right? And the first Yuma reign went 126 days. He got 7. Well, he failed on the 7th defense. Like I wouldn't go that long on the reign, and I wouldn't put in that many title defenses as well.
No, all you need is 2 and 3, 2 or 3.
Yeah.
Now one of them has to be a big name.
Yeah.
Or 2. Excuse me, but like, I think don't go too long with that and end up with the first Kaito reign.
Yeah.
So yeah, I am very, very cautiously optimistic, but this could really pay dividends for them if they do this right.
Oh, for sure. There's a reason why everybody was like gunning for Anzai, basically.
Okay. Update. I found a eBay listing for this magazine, and I'm going to buy it.
Nice.
Actually, it's not bad. $18 American, and that includes shipping.
Given that they cost like how many? I don't not.
They're like 580 yen.
Yeah. To be fair, aren't there? I'm trying to remember if Tokudan actually has old weekly pros on sale.
They do. Everyone seems to post that they've gone in there and buy them.
Yeah, because I was in there as well. I'm just trying to remember where in the store they were. Because I might just risk it and just wait until I'm back there and just buy it used.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea either.
Because it
Okay.
will happen sooner or later. It probably won't be this new year, probably, but the next one after that for sure.
Mhm. All right, so that is All Japan. So we got some more quick details before we get to Noah. Evolution had their first anniversary show on March 27th on Shinkiba First Ring. I only watched one match from the show, but also it should be notable that Suwama and Dan Tamura worked the show in a tag match. And Hikaru Sato was also in that tag match. It was Suwama and Sushi versus Dan and Sato. What I think was interesting is that there seems to be a situation now where things have been patched up or in the process of doing so. So Suwama is still part of Evolution, and Evolution still has a deal with All Japan, but that could be a translation thing.
I mean, if that's the case, do we think like the actress girls are for long for All Japan?
I honestly don't know.
Because like what I get from like talking to Joshi people is that actress is just utterly toxic to any other like Joshi promotion.
Yes. Well, I was just talking about this earlier. What's going to happen to the 6-man titles?
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, whatever. They can just keep them on ice until they need them again.
Yeah, for sure. So,
but like, I'm just looking at that. Like, they went 21 minutes.
yeah, well, I watched the match. So Zones defeated Chichi in 21:54 with the Death Valley Bomb. I mean, it was not bad given their experience level. A little choppy at times, but I would give them points for trying to pull off a 20-minute match like that with their level of experience.
Yeah, I mean, because I was like, that's longer than a Triple Crown match.
Yes, I was generally enjoyed the match with a few cautions and asterisks. Although I will say, Sonny is not a very good referee at this point, and this is only their like third or fourth match they've reffed. You can't put them in a main event like that at that level of experience as a referee.
That bad?
Not great.
Oof. Okay.
I feel bad saying that. I really do.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. But I mean, I think that was sort of important for that moment, right? At the same time.
Oh yeah, like it's the
For
first
Sonny to be the
anniversary.
ref.
Yeah.
So it's worth a watch, I think, just to see where they are at this point. For sure. I did enjoy the match at the end of the day. And so we have more Real 01 details emerging. It still doesn't completely make sense.
Nope.
But yet 01 has split into two companies. Real 01 and Tochigi Pro. And this seems to be a cost-cutting measure. Because basically whoever owns 01 was like, you got to stop running Korakuen because we're not making money. But the company already had Korakuen dates because obviously all the Japanese companies book them out a year in advance. So basically another LLC or holding company created Tochigi Pro and they're doing the Korakuen shows. But for reasons that are unclear, none of the Real 01 old guys like Masato Tanaka are really working those Tochigi Pros.
I mean, probably because they're too expensive. Because it's probably they run them by like a skeleton crew.
Yeah, but like, they've had wasn't Hiromu working one of those shows and like Aja Kong works them,
Which is always really funny. Where like Hiromu is just absolutely not a draw outside of New Japan at all. Like,
no, he doesn't seem to be actually. So I don't know. But like the way that the article is translated is like they're not allowed to, but like I don't really know, like because that doesn't make sense because they freelance elsewhere unless there is actually like things going on behind the scenes.
I mean that still seems to be the thing for me, right? Because because of this, some things make a bit more sense.
Yes.
But like other things still don't make sense. Like, yeah, like why aren't they allowed to work these shows at all? Where like I think it's still like it's gonna be a full split, and I think this whole like Tochigi Pro probably also assumed a lot of like whatever debt existed with the previous 0-1.
Yeah, that would have to make a lot of sense. Someone's
Like
got
I
to
think
do
that
that.
exactly like they just
No,
offloaded all of the debt on it.
Oh, because because Tochigi is owned by the holding company that owned 0-1 originally.
Yeah. And like that's what like that one is gonna go bankrupt eventually. And that's why, for example, 0-1 is real 0-1 is the one that got the Wrestle Universe deal. Like,
Yes.
right? Because that's still the other part of this that doesn't make sense otherwise. It's like, why is only real 0-1 on Wrestle Universe and not like the Tochigi Pro 0-1 as well? Where it makes sense where like, well, you just have this like holding company that has all of the debt that you're just gonna like manage down now while it like fulfills contractual obligations that you still had, and then you put all of the new revenue coming in the new company in real 0-1, and then that's eventually gonna become the real 0-1.
Yes, real 0-1 also seems to be a favor to some of the people in real 0-1 from Cyber Fight.
Yeah,
because also I think Megumi Kudo was also part of 0-1, so that makes sense.
And we now have
I was going to get to that.
World Champion Akitoshi Saito.
Yes, Akitoshi Saito won the World Heavyweight Championship from Chris Weiss.
It's his first ever singles title at age 58.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that show on Wrestle Universe? I haven't actually checked that.
I don't think Wrestle Universe is going to put a Yasukuni Shrine show up.
Oh, shit. I didn't realize it was at the War Crimes Shrine.
It was the War Crimes show, yeah.
Oh, yeah, no, they're not going to put that up.
But this one had real 0-1 versus Tochigi Pro matches. But again, say what you will about the show, this was something that was contracted out before, definitely.
Yeah.
Right? They had the dates in the agreement to do this, probably with those like Masato Tanaka being on the show. Although, I mean, they let all the Noah guys work this show.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. It's weird. I mean, yeah.
So that is the latest on that. I mean, I don't think Saito's going to hold that title for very long, but we'll see.
Yeah, cut to like a year later and he's still champion.
It's funny though. Yeah, but he's the only guy that Noah would also let get beaten by almost anyone, I think, too.
Yeah, but it's just funny that like the last time we had a Noah champion, like it's kind of like emblematic of just how much like 0-1 has even more fallen from like the already low point it was in like last year or like the year prior, right? Because the last time a Noah guy won this title, it was Takashi Sugiura, who was, I would say, I don't think it's controversial to say, a bit of a bigger star than Akitoshi Saito.
Yes. And it is just sort of like surprising to me on like how many sort of how shall I put this? How many contortions are occurring so this company doesn't go under?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No. Like it's very interesting how 0-1 is just not allowed to die. Like almost like it's like a foundational, as if it was a foundational pillar of like Japanese wrestling.
Yeah.
I guess okay. Like if I had to find an explanation, I guess maybe to like still get some money towards. I don't know even. I don't know, like because you could just run like charity shows anyway. Like you wouldn't even need to have to do that.
But do you think it's the whole history of the company with Hashimoto and Otani that?
Yeah, that's the other thing.
Sort of like it's like sort of like gauche if it's allowed to go under.
Yeah, I mean it's also Japan, which has very much a tendency of just keeping things alive, like keeping companies alive long after they probably should have just been let go. Like not just in wrestling terms.
Yeah. Oh yeah, all those banks that just like prop up those companies and everything like that.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's also could be people need it for certain money laundering services.
Oh, what? No.
And that's
money
why
laundering.
That's
why 0-1.
And that's why it's not allowed to die. So
No, I'm sure there were like 1,082 people at that war crime shrine.
well, there might have actually been. They've definitely like claimed higher for that show in the past. So you never know. But I don't know. Does that show ever air? I could see that.
I don't think anything from there has ever aired, to be honest.
Okay, yeah.
I don't know. I can't ever remember actually like seeing any issue.
I would just be shocked if it ended up on Wrestle Universe.
Yeah, that would be very weird if it actually ends up on there, because it's very controversial. Like, maybe just real quick for the people that don't know. So the Yasukuni Shrine there's a reason why we refer to it as the War Crimes Shrine, because it's a shrine that is intended to honor all Japanese people that died in a war. And that includes, because there are other shrines in Japan that also honor that honor people or Japanese people that died in a war, but very specifically excludes people that committed Class A war crimes. Whereas this shrine specifically does not do that, and that's why it's the War Crimes Shrine.
Yes, it is controversial, and no one else runs it.
Oh, wait, I actually found one from 2022 that aired on Samurai TV.
Oh, it did? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well.
Masaki Tamiya worked at Joe and Inamura.
Oh, okay. Interesting. But yes, it's like the name commemorations involve 1,066 people who were convicted of war crimes, 12 of whom were charged with Class A war crimes.
Yeah, it's bad. It's considered very controversial.
I mean, it's
Japan as well.
It's controversial within Japan. It's not just
Like there's a reason why like these shows very rarely air, and nobody really likes to talk about them in Japan either.
Yeah. So that is the latest on 01. We move on to Pro Wrestling Noah. On March 31st at Korakuen Hall, they did Star Navigation in front of 1,338 fans, which I gotta say, not a bad number these days for them. There.
Yeah. No, I don't think you can knock them for that. Like that's like one of the best numbers in a while, and like one of the best Korakuen numbers this year.
Yeah, for sure. First match, Masaki Tamiya defeated Shuhei Taniguchi in 8 minutes and 18 seconds with the Saito suplex. I like this a lot. It was just the perfect opening match of these two guys pummeling each other.
Yeah. No, just all action, no nonsense, basically.
Then Go Shiozaki and Atsushi Katoge defeated Takashi Sugiura and Hajime Ohara in 10 minutes and 39 seconds with the kill switch from Katoge on Ohara. I was kind of surprised at how hard Sugiura and Shiozaki went at each other in this for like second match on the show type thing. But again, it was solid.
Mm-hmm. And I really like the Shiozaki Katoge tag team.
Oh, they're great. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say put the tag titles on them, but I think that's for someone else.
Yeah, I mean, you can still put it on them eventually after a while anyway.
Yeah. And then next up, Anthony Green defeated Daiki Inaba in 8 minutes and 42 seconds with a bad-looking face. Again, I thought this was a really solid match. And at this point, I was like, this is turning out to be a nice little show.
Yeah. No, for sure. And also kind of puts to rest the whole, is Inaba like Inaba and Kitamiya the next challengers? Like, nope. They aren't.
No. And then Daga, Yoshinori Ogawa, and Super Crazy defeated Ninja Mac, Alejandro, and Juta Miyawaki in 13:47 with the Diablo Wings from Daga on Miyawaki. This wasn't much to this, and it probably went a little too long.
Yeah. It was just kind of listless, I think.
Yeah.
Like, there wasn't really much going, like, it wasn't really sure what they were trying to go for here.
Mm-hmm.
And it just, dragged as well towards the end, where it's like, okay, let's either like give me some sort of story here or just end this match. And then it went on for like 6 more minutes after that.
But things picked up again with Kaito Kiyomiya and Ryohei Oiwa defeating Keno and Yu Owada in 14:47 with the Dr. Brahm from Oiwa on Owada. I mean, this was great.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Owada got a lot of shine, but it was like really just like Kiyomiya just like going after Keno with a vengeance here and like brawling and everything like that, right?
Yeah. No, that was awesome. And I was like, oh man, they're really going into it. And then it made sense later why they were doing that as well.
So they're going to have a match on April 11th at Korakuen. And what's the stipulation? It's like if Kaido wins, then their feud is over forever. And if
Yeah.
Kaido wins, they're going to be partners.
Or no, they're in love.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. Like, that's the weird part. Like, what the fuck are we? So, like, okay, so either you're done forever or you become a couple.
I took that in mean tag team.
I probably, but I mean, but that would mean like you break up the Oiwa Kiyomiya team, which is weird. But like, it also doesn't make sense to just end the Kano versus Kaito feud.
Uh-huh. No, it doesn't. I mean, if you go back a couple of years, that could have been the feud that was going to carry the company for years.
Yeah,
and
it did in a weird way, but also didn't.
Well, yeah, other things intervened, like a pandemic and Keiichi Muto.
Yeah, like if that didn't happen, I think we're speaking very differently about Noah.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, there was a perfect build for the match.
Yeah.
Next up, Naomichi Marufuji defeated Uka Sasaki in 14 minutes and 10 seconds with a modified reverse cradle. It was okay.
Mm-hmm.
I did not love the last couple of minutes. And this was Uka. Okay, so we'll talk about another Uka match, but this was Uka doing too much shoot style.
Yeah.
And mat work.
Yeah, like the whole like finishing like the entire like finishing sequence, it was just boring, really.
Yeah. But we'll get back to Sasaki in a second.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the semi-main event, Hayata, Dragonbane, and Alpha Wolf defeated Jack Morris, Yohei, and Tadasuke in 10:28 when Hayata used the Samson clutch on Morris. Pretty rare in Noah for a junior to pin a heavyweight. But I thought it was actually a pretty good match, all things considered.
Yeah, and then we had some unintelligible Scottish noises from Jack Morris afterwards.
Yes.
I assume that means he basically challenged Hayata to come for his title.
Yeah, that's what I took it as. I thought they were already building to that.
Yeah, I mean, it depended me obviously, but I assume what he spoke was English because it didn't sound like Gaelic. So,
and then in the main event for the GHC heavyweight title, Hiro Dr. Wagner Jr. defeated Jake Lee in 28-25 with a moonsault press. Now, first off, Wagner came out with an incredible Aztec-inspired entrance gear to remove it to reveal his tribute to the German national football team.
Yes, he got very heavily inspired from his trip to Germany.
And then Jake was looking more Mr. Peanut than ever.
And he really has just morphed into like secondary antagonist of like a young adult novel. Like,
yeah,
like people are saying like a movie, but I'm more thinking like a young adult novel adaptation that airs on Netflix and it's like a series with like 10 episodes a season.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so I will say I thought that for the first 20 minutes of this was actually pretty good. I thought they kept my attention. They kept a good pace going to build. I just think once they hit the 28-minute mark and you go to the finish and stretch, it wasn't bad. And I did like this match, but it just didn't quite reach that like high level I was sort of thought that they could have actually managed to pull off.
Really? Because I think actually in that case, I'm a bit higher on you on this match.
Okay.
Because I really like what they were doing with the like the spot with Wagner kind of doing like the mask, like the head move.
Yeah.
After the boot from Jake.
Yeah, that was
good. Calling it. I thought that was good. And then him getting hit anyway and then going down. And I actually kind of bought that one as a finish. And then that didn't happen. And then I thought what they were doing after that was also still like pretty good. Like I'm not gonna say like it didn't quite get to like 4 stars for me, but I still really, really liked it and the right outcome as well. I think
that's funny because I gave it 4 stars, but I thought it was trending higher.
Okay, fair enough.
But like I was just like, okay, like you put, and like, I don't know. I just thought they had an opening there to do something more.
Mhm.
And like, this is sort of the thing with Jake is like, he sort of regressed in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I mean, I think he probably realizes that he's hit his like ceiling, right?
Yeah. Well,
So
it's
that
just
probably is. He's just like, yeah,
how,
okay,
how,
this
how
is
many kicks does Jake throw in a match these days compared to like a couple years ago?
a lot.
I mean,
Oh, do you mean like, well, what kind of kick are we talking?
in general, I mean, he's got the big boot,
Oh yeah, because I was like, well, he does the big boot a lot, but yeah, otherwise, yeah, okay. If you're just talking
and
like,
it has got that one high kick that he pulls out usually
yeah,
toward the end. But like, if you go and you watch his absolute best matches against Kento,
oh yeah, no, he's kicking the shit out of Kenta there.
yeah, I don't know. Maybe that's just what I expected out of Jake, and I'm not sure if this other stuff works for him as well. Well, it doesn't.
I mean, I guess maybe he's not doing it because he's in Noah, and he's like, well, there's like so many people in a promotion that are better at him at kicking.
Well, he's not bad, and I mean Nakajima's gone.
Yeah, but you still have Keno.
Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know. It just popped into my head just watching this because I was like, okay, well, it's like this is actually pretty good. I just
Mhm.
think that Jake has done better and been in better matches, and it's just fascinating to me to like see how it sort of flatlines after like reaching a certain pretty good point. Like I don't say that this match wasn't good because it was, but it's just like then it like it's this ceiling, and then Jake can't go any further with it.
Yeah, no, that definitely seems to be because I mean, but I will say, I think a lot of his title defenses were better than this match.
I'm not sure about that. The only one that I would say that maybe for sure is the Sugera one, and that was when they were kicking the crap out of each other.
I really like the Marufuji one as well.
Hmm. Yeah. So I mean, this was the right choice though for Wagner.
Oh, no, absolutely, 100%, yes.
And no challenger emerged,
Which is interesting as well.
because we got to talk. Well, we'll talk about what that means in a bit because it could be very interesting. But we got to go to Noah Monday Magic season 2, episode 1
Hell yeah.
from April 1st, in Shinjuku Face. Paul, they started this show off with a big deal. Nosawa comes out
Yes.
to reveal Julia
Mm-hmm.
to a big pop, and very fascinating. She says she's going to be on the May 4th Wrestle Magic show at Sumo Hall,
Mm-hmm.
and it would appear that certain things are happening with Rossi's new promotion. And
Yeah.
is it going to be the serious Joshi company in Cyberfight? That
Yes.
do you think? Or I mean, Rossi technically has the money to go it alone.
But again, it was always weird to basically leave Bushi Road, who just, yes, he might have had his issues there, but again, he doesn't have, yes, he has money, but he doesn't have to put in his own money, right?
Yeah.
He can just have Bushi Road foot the bill. But obviously, if Cyberfight is coming in and it's like, well, we want to start a Joshi promotion, and we're willing to give you like the same amount of money that Bushi Road is giving you to run Stardom, but we're going to be a lot more hands off. Like you can just kind of do your own thing.
Yeah, they will be. Look what they've allowed to happen.
Oh yeah, that's the thing. Like they don't just like, yeah, you produce content for Bima, cool. So this to me makes a lot more sense than him just going his own way.
Yeah, and if that's the case, then they will probably be able to make a pretty even bigger splash at the startup than people expected.
Mm-hmm. I mean, on the other hand, though, then it is weird that like not that many people actually left.
Mm-hmm.
Because what I always felt like when like they actually announced how many people were leaving Stardom, or even before that, my thing was like, well, I don't think there's actually going to be that many people leaving, because if it is just Rossi running it himself, then I feel like a lot of people are like, yeah, I'm loyal to him. But once you actually look at like the money being offered, you probably would have been like, well, I would just rather stay in Stardom and earn more money. Whereas if it's Cyberfight actually like footing the bill, I feel like Rossi probably could offer more like competitive contracts. but it doesn't seem like a lot of them actually like took them up on it. Who knows?
Yeah, for sure. Well, I mean, more money was offered, so I mean that's always the thing, right?
Yeah. And I mean, we don't know who else is going to be a part of this. I mean,
There,
I assume like all of the other ones that like left Stardom, and then probably like Unagi or something.
yeah. Well, and more will leave next year, I think.
Yes, I mean that might also be a thing. Like if this actually gets off the ground and actually like is this, because that might be the other thing where people were like, okay, I would be in theory interested in leaving, but you don't actually have anything set up yet, so call me back next year when it's actually started.
Yeah, for sure. So I mean but that's a big thing. So we'll have to see where that goes. And also, who's Giraffe Head?
Yeah, I have no idea what this is supposed to be.
So someone in a giraffe mask sent a video message, and I don't know what it's all about. So I just felt like I had to touch on that.
What if it's Chris Brooks?
I don't know. It could be. That's funny because it actually could be.
Yeah.
So
this time it could actually be Chris Brooks.
So we get to the show itself. Hio Dr. Wagner Jr. and Luis Monte defeated Dragonbane and Alpha Wolf in 9:29 with the Vuelta finale from Wagner on Wolf. This rocked. This was just
from Monte. I got that.
Oh, from Monte. Yeah. This was basically like almost pure lucha.
Yeah.
Although I don't think they had the lucha tag rules in there though.
I'm trying to remember, but yeah, no, this rocked. This was really fun. This was like the perfect match to open like the season with as well. The crowd was super hot for it too. The only negative, Luis Monte's look. What the fuck was that? So I have talked to Mike Spears, and apparently this is not what he normally wears on Dragon Gate shows. Like I legitimately at times when he came in the ring, I at first thought it was a fan running in.
That's funny. Yeah. So I guess a little historic because you got two Mexican world champions in Japan teaming together too.
Yeah, no, I think that's clearly what they were going for here. It was a really cool moment, and like all four men like were like seemed super motivated as well.
Yeah.
Because they were like, yeah, this is special. When it's like it was really, really cool to see this. And like both of like Monte and Wagner coming out with the belts, and just a really cool moment. And I mean, exactly what you kind of have these shows for, right? Where you just can kind of like mix and match people and just have cool shit, basically.
Probably the best match on this show. But I actually have another one that I think got close. But we'll have to find out which one it is. It might surprise you.
Okay.
Next up, we had Keto defeating Raihoyo Iwa in 6:46 with the PFS. I mean, this was really good for what it was, but it was also way too short.
Yeah.
And it was like Oiwa dominating and then like Keno coming back and like being like, I'm coming for you, Kaido type thing.
Yeah. It was a very weird match structure, but it made sense for Iwa to lose here. Since
for sure. You give these guys 15-20 minutes would be awesome.
Yes, exactly. Actually, you might switch this one around, but yeah.
Yeah. And then next up, Nagisa Nozaki and Great Sakuya defeated Miyuki Takase and Nanashi in 9:29 with the moonsault press from Sakuya on Nanashi. Now, I've not seen Nanashi before, but Nanashi is like a zombie gimmick, basically. Not unlike, if you remember, Deep Cut, Konaka Pale One.
Oh, of course I remember. You mean Konaka equals Pale One.
Oh, yes, that's right. Yes. So it's the same drawn out stuff with the Great Sakuya.
Yeah, this was shit. I'm just so over the Great Sakuya. It sucks. Like the match that they did on the New Year's show was awful, and this wasn't much better.
It just
doesn't work.
It's also sabotaging a great wrestler, Enrico Kawahara.
Yes, that's the other thing. It's like it's just I don't get what we're going for. Like, okay, I get what we're going for here. We're going for female Great Muta, but it doesn't work.
It's funny because if you go and you look at this is like 2007 and 2008 Great Muta. I mean, did 1992 Great Muta do like the gimmicks gimmicky stuff in the brawl. Yes, well, no, what I was going to say is, I like, the famous Hiroshi Hase Great Muta match with the blood or something. Like, yeah, Muta did stalling and brawling and like attack people with ring bells and stuff, but it was also like not as over the top and like drawn out. But like when Muta was doing this in 2007, 2008, this is because he had no knees.
Yeah.
And it was a lot more like gimmicky and drawn out, right? And so it's like, well, you have this young, great wrestler that's now doing this.
Yeah. She should do 92 Muta.
Yes.
Not 2023 Muta.
Yeah, exactly, right? That's sort of my issue with it. I did admit I laughed when they hit at the commentary table.
Oh, yeah.
But that was the highlight of the match.
Yeah. And then afterwards you had like Nanashi chase Takase to the backstage.
Yeah. So,
Yeah. I don't know. I don't like this at all. It's just drags this. Like, otherwise I thought this was a really fun show, but this was just shit.
And we're gonna get more of it. I'm somewhat surprised.
Yeah, actually.
I guess the big question was, were they going to bring Sakuya back? And they didn't.
Yeah.
So next up, Jake Lee, Yohei, and Tadasuke defeated Masa Kitamiya, Junta Miyawaka, and Yu Owada in 8:44 when Yohei used the drop kick on Owada. I mean, this was a good little sprint. But at the end of the day, not too much to it, but it was really just set up for after the match. Some very familiar music hit, and Yankee Chugenju came out to challenge Tadasuke and Yohei for the GHC Junior Tag Team titles, which will happen next week on Monday Magic.
That's appointment viewing.
That is
that's going to
absolutely
be great.
appointment viewing. It is. Remember when Yuko Miyamoto was in M's Alliance, like for a cup of coffee?
Yeah, and then he literally like riffed on the fact that he kind of disappeared.
Yeah, well, yeah, because he was the jaw of the group.
And they cut like a promo and we're like, yeah, we also don't know where Yuko Miyamoto is. He just kind of abandoned us.
Well, I probably he didn't want to be the fall guy for a bunch of like big stars.
Old guys, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he's one of the younger ones, I think. He's like early 40s in that group.
Yeah.
So I mean, that will be awesome. I have no doubt that.
No, that's definitely gonna rock. Like, do you think they're gonna do a title change?
I kind of hope not, actually.
I mean, I do really.
There's a lot you could do with Yeki Tukenju too, though.
That's the thing, like as much as I like Yohei and Tadasuke, I also want to see more of Yankee Tukenju in Noah.
Yeah.
Like them versus the Golpadores. Like, oh yes.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Yeah. You might, maybe you will just do it. I don't know. I wouldn't be against it, but at all. I just really think that Yohei and Tadasuke have helped to elevate the status of those titles, though.
Yes, no, they are really good champions, and but still, it's actually okay. Let's put it this way: we're in the great situation where there's actually no wrong move here.
Yeah.
Both moves are actually good.
Definitely. And then we had Yoshinari Ogawa and Geto versus Hayata and Ada went to a no contest. Geto actually got a pretty big pop, and he's wearing a War Dog shirt.
He also came out to the War Dogs music as well.
Oh yes, yeah.
I actually at first, when Geto came out, I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense. But I was actually like, oh my god, are we gonna get David Finlay and Noah?
Honestly, I didn't hate this, even though it was, because this was Ada got some good heat and everything. So you know what? It was fine for what it was. The little Geto surprise. Yeah.
No, because they also because this was actually a callback to the finale of the last season.
Yeah.
They did that match they did that match with the same participants. There wasn't the same match. I think it was Ogawa and Hayata versus Geto and Eita. I don't remember. But it was the same 4 people, basically. And it also ended in a no contest as well. because of course it did. And this was much better than that. So I was actually surprised how much I was like, yeah, this actually wasn't a bad match. And then after the match, well, basically the match ends when like Gedo just hits everyone with a chair.
Yep. Yeah, it was Hayatan Yoshinori Ogawa defeating Aiden Gedo by DQ.
Oh yeah, okay. And then Gedo basically was like, yeah, shake my hand. Like he hits like Ogawa, and then he's like, yeah, shake my hand. And then Hayat and Eita do shake his hand, but then they attack him. But then Ogawa attacks everybody as well. And like, this feud has been going for like 3 years.
Yeah. It's probably going to be the callback on like every season of Monday Magic. And then
I mean, it was nice if it would only stick to that, but it's also just on Noah shows as well. Like it's just
well,
doesn't
a
end,
little,
just
a
never
little
ends.
less lately. If they just moved it to here, that would be fine, I suppose.
Yes, actually, yeah, then it would be contained to somewhere, not just constantly simmering.
Yeah.
For years.
And then in the main event, Kaito Kiyomiya defeated Uka Sasaki in 1643 with the modified Shining Wizard. Paul, I really like this match. I thought it was, well, okay, so here Sasaki was doing a lot more just traditional pro wrestling, and of course, Kiyomiya is incredible, especially when you're leading through a much more inexperienced pro wrestler. So I thought this was by far and away the best Uka Sasaki match. So
for sure. I mean, this was one of those reminders where it's just like, oh yeah, no, Kaito is just like one of the like best 5 wrestlers on the planet.
He is one of the best wrestlers on the planet, and I don't think he gets the recognition that he deserves for that because of everything.
Yeah.
And
but he very much just like, yeah, as you said, he just led this guy that has like how many matches under his belt? Like less than 20, right?
Let's find out. Okay, Cage Match does have an Uka Sasaki profile.
Oh, he got
25 matches.
25 matches, okay. But still,
he's been wrestling since November.
Yeah, exactly. And he got him to like a pretty good match.
Oh yeah.
Like I would like say like 3.5 or something like that.
And this was a lot less. I mean, Kaito's very good at mat work. Actually, again, very underrated as well. But this wasn't a lot of like them lying around in submission holds towards like the end of the match either.
Yeah. No, I mean, if actually like if Ulka like wants to like continue doing like mat work or whatever, like I think learning from Kaito is like the perfect guy to learn from.
Yeah, for sure.
Because Kaito's really good at mat work.
Yeah.
So like he's like a guy like I would like orient myself on if I were him, and just just kind of learn how to like actually make things look good without hurting the other person.
So yeah, that was Monday Magic. Season 2, episode 1, and it was a great show. And
yes, I loved this one. It was so much fun.
So we were a little pessimistic on Noah last couple episodes because we thought things had turned around and then maybe they weren't. But I'm optimistic again.
Yes. Oh yeah. No. Now that the evil is defeated again, as in Jake isn't the champion.
The evil is defeated. No more main event push for Fujita. As far as I can tell. So that's like great. So the feeling has been restored.
Yes, yeah, for sure. The only weirdness, like in terms of like champions left for me, is like the Morris double title thing. But again, I suppose that wasn't still supposed to be the case.
No, that was not.
That's not on Noah. I can't blame them for someone getting injured.
I'm just surprised they haven't announced that match yet.
I think they're trying to find where to put it in the schedule. I think that's the problem.
Yeah. Okay, so we're going to go and talk about what's coming up here. So next week, Shinjuku face on the 8th. GHC Junior Heavyweight Tag Team title, Yohan Tadasuke versus Yuko Miyamoto and Asami Kodaka. Awesome. Looking forward. May the best team win, I suppose. You can't go wrong, I think. And then on April 11th, Corkid Hall, Keno versus Kaito Kiyomiya and whatever bizarre stipulations there are in that one. And then We had last night Katoge announced the next Limit Break show on April 26th at Yokohama Radiant Hall, which is interesting, but I suppose so we've got for the world heavyweight title Akitoshi Saito versus Satsuki Nagao, who's like the only sort of youngish wrestler that's in Real 01.
I mean, sure, why not? I mean, do we think Saito gets past him?
Yes. Because
Yeah, I think
he was
that's-
nothing
yeah.
even in 01.
Yeah.
And then we got, this is interesting, Go Shiozaki, Kazuyuki Fujita, and Muhammad Yone versus Shuji Ishikawa, Yuki Ino, and Yukio Naya.
Mhm.
That could be very good. We'll see how it pans out. We've got Atsushi Katoge and Black Mansoray versus Jun Akiyama and Rukia.
Yeah.
That could be
sounds
good.
fun. Hmm.
We got Hiroki versus Tetsuya Endo.
Okay. That's right, because they're doing the whole but when is the Extreme title match?
I don't know.
Because that's kind of weird because Endo is also champion, so I don't know.
Yeah, there's no way that they're gonna have Hiroki beat Endo.
Yeah.
And then Yu Wada. Paul, have you seen this match?
No.
Yu Wada versus, drum roll please, Yoshitatsu.
What the fuck? Why?
I don't know.
I mean, as long as he sticks to like the Limit Break shows, like really hope this doesn't mean he comes into no proper.
It would be so funny if he found a way to.
Yeah, well, like Shuji Ishikawa's like, yeah, sorry, I can't work Limit Break shows anymore because I'm doing DDT and then I'm going back to All Japan. But I have Yoshitatsu. So cool.
Yeah. Yeah, because I feel his departure was actually different than everybody else's.
Oh yeah, no, that was like building up for a long time because he just
Yeah.
got dropped out for like a year and a half.
Yeah. So like I said, May 4th, Sumo Hall, Wrestle Magic.
Mhm.
So all we know so far is Julia will be at the show, wrestling on the show, and that will be actually an extra pay-per-view on Wrestle Universe.
Yeah. Think you get like a discount if you were like a subscriber
Yeah,
before a certain point?
It's if you're a subscriber, it's like 3,400 yen, and if you're not, it's 3,800 yen.
Yeah. Which I guess it's something.
It's something. How much is 400
€4?
yen? Yeah, 400 yen these days.
Actually, sorry, because I still make the mistake of applying the 1 to 100 conversion. So it's like, I don't know, €2.50 probably.
Yeah, these days this might exactly be like right bang on $4 Canadian.
Oh God, wait! So the Canadian dollars now in the 1 to 100 exchange rate.
It might actually be.
Oh, that's bad.
Oh yeah, it almost is. It's at 0.9.
Ooh, that's rough. Given the fact that I literally have a phone that was bought for me by a friend in Canada because I made use of the exchange rate.
And then also last night, Noah announced 2 shows. On Sunday, June 16th, they're running Yokohama Buntai. And on Saturday, July 13th, they're going Nippon Budokan.
Okay.
That's
really
pretty
ambitious. That is very.
Plus Sumo Hall in May.
Yeah. Is that going to be a mystery show basically? Like, I guess they're gonna announce because they already announced Julia. I guess they're gonna announce people, but will we actually get a card for that?
That's too risky. You can't do that.
You can't do that. It would be insane, but it's also insane to then run Yokohama Buntai a month later and then run Nippon Budokan a month after that.
Well, okay, so how much longer is Wagner going to be champion? Because you could say that he's only main eventing Korakuen. Right? They didn't put him in the Yokohama Budokan main event.
Yeah, there's no way he's walking into the Budokan champion.
He's actually pretty over, though. I'll give him that.
He is. And he did draw a good house in Korakuen.
Yeah, although I've seen people say that Jake is a good draw in Korakuen, which Maybe.
Maybe.
If anywhere, that would be the
He's
place.
decent draw in Sapporo as well, I guess.
So, but there's no way they're gonna put Wagner in the main event of Budokan though.
No, there's no, unless he like faces like a big star and loses the title.
Well, who? He's facing
Kaito.
in Korakuen, Kaido or Go
Maybe.
Marufuji. You're running low on big names.
Yeah. So I feel like he's no longer going to be champion by the time that show comes around.
Yeah, but then who is? Like,
Kaito.
who is? You think so? You think it's too soon? You think he could benefit from a little more rehab? I mean, I think they're rehabbing him pretty well.
Yeah, they are rehabbing him pretty well now, but like, who else are you gonna put it on?
Yeah, that's the thing.
Right? Like,
Go
you just took it off Ken. Like, if Keno was still champion, like this would make sense. I mean, maybe that's the plan. Maybe that's just the plan, is just put it back on Keno, because this was a like contractually stipulated reign that Wagner got for extending his contract, and they're just putting it back on Keno.
Mm-hmm.
And Keno, I can totally see as like the guy on top for like these level of shows.
Yeah. Yeah, Kaido makes sense. Go maybe. I still am adhering to my theory that Team Noah was just a way to stick Go in the mid card.
Yes, no, I think Go is kind of like done as like a big main eventer. I don't think he's winning the title again.
Oh, never again, eh?
I think he's getting title challenges, and maybe he gets one more short reign. But he's not gonna be like a big long-term top guy.
Yeah, that's a shame. I wish he could have gotten that in under better circumstances.
Yeah,
he finally broke the curse, and but it was
it's weird how he it's right at the. I mean, he still got a good reign in, right? That's just the bad part is that it was during the pandemic, and then his body broke down right after.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's just like but again, I mean, it's Noah. You can't write off. They're going to use New Japan guys. They're going to pay for big name foreigners.
Might also happen, yeah.
Right?
But who do you even bring in as like a big name foreigner that would be a draw for this level of show?
Yeah, that's the thing.
Because it's the Nippon Budokan. You can't just like. I mean, if there's, I don't know how that would work out timing wise and for like other stuff. But if you just want to bring in someone that could draw as like a big international guy that also would be totally up for like wrestling in the Nippon Budokan, Danielson.
Yeah. He has though, hasn't he?
Has he?
He probably has on some Noah show.
Yeah, but again, if in an actual like big meaningful match, like he has definitely worked it, but it's not as like you can like that's a title match you can like basically put on against anyone. Okay, let's see. He has 5 matches in Budokan.
Yeah,
and like they're all tag matches.
Yeah, of course. We got to get Danielson in Fuchi's retirement match.
Yeah, you just get him into like all of the like old guys basically.
Oh, he loves Fuchi though.
Oh yeah, no, of course he does. You just need to watch him wrestle.
Yeah, that's why he should be in that one.
Okay, but the downside of that is that Fuchi or like that doesn't work though, because Fuchi will never retire.
Maybe not. So yeah, I mean, this is pretty. I don't even know where they're going with this.
Yeah, I don't know what they have planned.
And it's funny because it's like you could like keep your head down and doing what they're doing now.
Yeah.
And build things back up, and they're doing that well. I mean, the only negative thing, the only real negative thing in the last couple of months was the Fujita versus Jake thing. Really, I can't really say there was anything else that was really bad. And other things like the Yokohama Budokan main event was just beyond their control. It was an injury.
Yeah.
But I feel like when you start introducing these big shows, you're going to do something for a cheap, just to pop the house without regards for longer term, which is again the problem that Noah faced once Muto retired.
I'm wondering if like the person that is booking the buildings and the person that is booking the shows don't aren't the same person and aren't really communicating well.
It'd be kind of crazy if it isn't, but
yeah, because in Japan that normally is the same person.
Yeah, or at least aware of it. There's more communication. Like
yeah, because it doesn't really feel like I think like it's saying like they're doing a really good job of like building stuff up, but they're building stuff up pretty slowly, which is the right thing to do. But you have like massive shows coming up in like very, very quickly, and it doesn't really feel like they have all that many like hot storylines going in that they can peak at those shows.
Well, I mean, you're doing Keno versus Kaito at Korakuen.
Yeah, but again, you're doing that in Korakuen, and one of the outcomes might be that their feud is done.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I guess you can do some sort of angle where like you get out of that, or like there's like a no contest or something like that happens, and like that sets up something for those shows as well. Because it's weird that you're just doing that in Korakuen with like this big of like a stipulation. It kind of makes me think that there's an angle coming.
Yeah, for sure. It's just, I don't know where this is going to go, and I hope they don't do anything stupid or short-sighted.
Yeah.
Which is, I think,
for now, I will be like, I'm just gonna enjoy what Noah's going to do, and then, I have no fucking clue what they're gonna do for these big shows.
Yeah. Oh, right. I think that's it. Unless you have any final closing thoughts, because a lot has happened in a week.
No, nothing right now. My brain is starting to go towards empty right now.
All right. So at this point, given all that's happening, I don't think we're going to be back until like the carnival has started.
Yeah, probably not. Which is, I don't remember what date that is, but yes,
the 18th.
Oh yeah.
Well, we'll see how the Yuma Anzai era goes. And we are going to follow it every step of the way. So for Paul, I'm Gerard, and we will talk to you in a couple of weeks. Take care. Bye.
Hello, do you like New Japan Pro Wrestling? Are you a Shin Nihon freak? If so, check out the Super J-Cast with Joel and Damon on the Voices of Wrestling Podcast Network.
And even if you fucking hate New Japan Pro Wrestling, listen to the Super J-Cast anyway. Not just for our great show reviews, analysis, and pastrami sandwiches, but there's also usually some dick jokes somewhere in the obligatory opening 30 minutes of absolute nonsense we chat about every single week. That's the Super J-Cast for all the best talk about New Japan Pro Wrestling, crisps, and pornography.